Trying to disrupt Rondo. He puts it in. Here's Davis, 4-3 in the win. Oh, it's good! Anthony Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Great anticipation and then vision. And a great spurt by the Lakers. Who's the steal? Up to Caruso. Alex, yes! Timeout. The guard is plenty ahead of the play. James with the wrong post. Slam dunk. Show us something, LeBron here.
Hello everyone, we are back. Welcome back to the Late Show. Sorry about the introduction if you're watching live or watching back on the stream. It's a little bit old, but we haven't done one of these in a while and I thought it was better than nothing. I haven't had much time to update it, so maybe we'll spice that up in a few weeks. But anyway, we're here again. It's been a very long time. Apologies. I've got Jonathan back though. He's a mainstay with this whenever it does happen. How are you doing today, Jonathan? And how have you been doing in general? How have you been doing in life recently?
Yeah, doing really well. And never apologize for that intro. Every time I listen to that intro, I get ridiculously hyped. So never apologize for that intro. Yeah, life is good. New job. Yeah, everything's really, really good at this moment in time. And I'm really happy. What about you?
Yeah, all good here as well. Obviously, Christmas period, looking forward to it. I managed to get back home for the first time in a year. We weren't able to get back home last year, as obviously a lot of people experienced the same thing. So yeah, all's good. But we are here to talk Lakers basketball, and all is not good in Lakers basketball at the moment. And obviously, it gets a little bit more highlighted when you watch that intro, and then you think, oh, the good old days. It's not quite like that anymore, is it? So we'll jump straight into it. For anyone that might think, first podcast in a while, why are they not speaking about, Russell Westbrook, or why are they not speaking about X, whatever? We did a Twitter Spaces a few days ago, me and Jonathan. Obviously, it's not got as big as an audience as these live streams do, but, do check that out if there's a few things that you think, we haven't spoken about, because we most likely did cover it in there. It was a lot of it. It was just a bit of a conversation back and forth. So let's just jump straight into it, really. There's no plan, so apologies to the listeners if it's a bit, the structure's a bit all over the place, but we're just here to have a bit of fun and bring back the live stream. So we are looking very fresh for anyone that's watching with the visuals, so I do like that. And Jonathan's haircut as well, looking quite fresh, unlike mine. Why don't you give us a few lines on the Lakers season so far? It's been a strange one, hasn't it? It's been a strange one. They're flirting above and below 500 for quite a while now. Obviously, above went on a good run recently and have kind of gone back down near 500. What do you think of the Lakers season today?
I can give you 3 words that describe the Lakers season absolutely perfectly. Not been good. It's just like you said, they've been so up and down all season. They don't seem to have a real identity. They seem to have like an identity crisis where they're kind of jumping between, are we a defensive team who kind of locks teams down and we beat them that way? Are we an offensive team who just overwhelms teams with our offense? They don't know. It goes from game to game, and then the effort disappears from game to game. You could have one game, like, for example, against the Timberwolves. It didn't look like we're going to win at all during that entire time. Then you could have another game, like even against the Bulls, even though we lost, we showed a lot more heart, we showed a lot more effort, and we were quite unlucky to lose that game. So it's just been an up and down season. It's not been great to watch at times. It's been fairly poor to watch, but I still think there's a lot to be said that it could be a really good season if we just kind of find that identity and really kind of play like the Lakers brand of basketball that we know can win. We don't know what it is at the moment, but hopefully we can find it. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I don't think there's any genius viewpoint on the season. I think everyone's going to tell you the same thing. To be honest with you, it's been disappointing really. I think that's just the best way to describe it. All these big names got signed. You know, there were doubts about age going into the season, mainly from outside of Laker Nation, but I think them concerns did run deep within the fan base. But, you know, there was just an array of talent on the team, whether it's aging players or whatever. Just the amount of talent on the team was just insane. So, and I thought that, you know, the signings of Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn really evened things out, and THT and things like that. And obviously we've had the emergence of Austin Reeves. It's been amazing. I think Mello's been a pleasant surprise. You know, just a 3-point sniper out there. But obviously Kendrick Nunn we have not seen on the court. You know, Reeves we've only just seen come back. And it's just a season that's been, you know, I can't think of the word really, but it's just been so inconsistent, but not in terms of performances, but just in terms of like injuries and players being available and then not being available, and then now the COVID protocols. And I just think that whilst the performances have been under par, there's been a lack of effort at times. I think that just outside influences haven't helped either, to be honest. Like, how can you build chemistry and cohesion when, you know, LeBron's out early in the season, now AD's out for a month, they're the two main stars, Westbrook isn't exactly fitting properly. You know what I mean? It's just a mixture of things. I don't think there's an actual, you know, specific reason behind the failure so far.
Yeah, I think if you just look at the Lakers roster as it's constructed, like if you look at what Pelinka is following, a very tried and trusted method. You bring in kind of ring chasers and older players, veterans who know how to win and who know how to finish out games. And usually for championship teams, that wins out. Like the Warriors brought in the likes of Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston and a few other players, even like JaVale. Just a bunch of veterans who know how to play the game, who know how to win the game. That's what the Lakers did. They brought back Dwight Howard, knows how to win. Rajon Rondo knows how to win. They brought in Trevor Ariza, who they previously had there and had won a championship with. They brought in a bunch of guys who just have been, like, whether they've been all-stars, whether they've just been very good rotational players or good starting players. And on paper, everything should work out correctly. But, like, obviously, Kendrick Nunn, I don't think many people would realize he's quite a loss. Like, if you even look back to the championship against the finals against the Heat, like,
oh yeah, he lit it up at times.
He absolutely destroyed, like, in certain like in spurts, he absolutely tore us to pieces, and we didn't know there's nothing we could do about it. Like, we thought Goran Dragic was going to be the real kind of danger man at the point guard position, not even remotely compared to Kendrick Nunn. And I think when he comes back, I think we have a significant amount of, like, a better identity with the second unit when he comes back. And I think there's a bunch of players who I think the Lakers have in mind to play together. I think they want THT, Malik Monk, and probably Kendrick Nunn to get some minutes together, just kind of really kind of overwhelm them with energy and youth in the second unit. But yeah, we haven't been able to see that. It's just injury has ravaged it. COVID hasn't helped. Obviously, it's ravaged the team as well. Poor play by likes of AD hasn't helped. LeBron kind of battling injuries hasn't helped. And like you said with Russ is I can never fault the guy's effort. He tries his hardest every single game, but I just think Russ is potentially a player out of time. Like the league has now become more of a Steph Curry league. You space the floor, you shoot 3-point shots, so the rest of the team can get more open look on the floor. Russ would have been amazing in the time of, like, Magic Johnson. He would have, like, the league would have been built from him. He doesn't have to play that much defense. He can throw very flashy passes. He can grab boards. He would have been perfect then. But right now, and especially with this Laker team, we're just not built to kind of be a real challenger with him on the roster. That could definitely change. The Lakers could kind of fix things a little bit, but I'm not seeing it at this moment in time. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think we heard my views on Twitter Spaces about Russell Westbrook. I'm not a big fan of the Russell Westbrook experiment, but what I'm saying is I'm not a fan. It's not that I'm not a fan of Westbrook individually. I'm not a fan of everything that comes around Westbrook. I'm not a fan of his fit on the team. I'm not a fan of the roster construction around him. I'm not a fan of, like, his contract. I'm not a fan of the trade to get him and things like that. So I like Russ. I think he's performed quite well this season. After a rough start, he's come into it. And when I say the Russell Westbrook experiment, I don't mean Russell Westbrook per se. I mean the outside influences that he brings, not he brings, but just him being on the Lakers brings. But maybe we can do a segment on that in another podcast a bit more in depth, as we probably can do about AD and we can do about LeBron and other things like that. But one thing I did want to speak about, we did have a viral tweet last night, Lakers UK did, and it's about Isaiah Thomas. So let's bring up the conversation really. What we're going to talk about is, what do we think of Isaiah Thomas as a signing? Obviously, it came out of left field. I mean, I certainly didn't see it coming. So what do we think of him as a signing? Has he performed? And does he have a future with the Lakers in his second stint in LA now? What are your views around IT?
You still have the IT jersey, don't you?
I do. I'm at my parents' at the moment, but it's at it's at mine in Paris, and it's actually one of my favorite jerseys. It's on the old, not the old, obviously. It's not like Magic Johnson here. But it's the a couple of years back when we did the purple ones, but not with the black sides, with the yellow sides. It's a beautiful jersey. I think it was the first Nike ones that they did, and I've got Isaiah Thomas number 7, because if you remember, he switched jersey numbers through his short tenure. But one of my favorite Laker jerseys, actually. That.
But I remember thinking that's a beautiful jersey. I remember he even kind of liked. I think he liked to comment about it as well, didn't he? That he like.
Oh, did he? No. I said I quite enjoyed Isaiah Thomas's Lakers tenure. This was maybe 2019, and he quote retweeted it and said something like, "Oh my God," or something. Probably because it's a Lakers fan, praising a Celtics. I don't know, modern day legend. I don't know how Heidi is regarded in over there, but I know pretty Heidi, but I don't know if they call him a legend or not. But he did. He did. So maybe Isaiah Thomas is watching this right now. Anyway, what do you think about him?
I think you can't help but not be impressed by his 2 performances. Like the first one against the Timberwolves, 19 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. 1 block got down. That stuck out. But
he got an offensive rebound as well.
That's nuts. But you can't he's a guy you can't help but root for. After all that he's been through in not just in basketball but in life, he's been through so much that he deserves happiness. He deserves to be back on the NBA court. He's proven in the G League that he's better than level basketball. He's proved in the USA basketball that he was doing as well. He can play at a high level. He can play against internationals and do quite easily. He's an NBA player, and I think he just needs to be. People need to look beyond his size. He's the same height as us. He's 5'9", 5'10". I'm 5'11". You're short.
Wait, how tall are you?
5'11".
5'11". Oh God, you're much taller than me. I'm about 5'8". Yeah. Firmly on 5'8". I would like to say 5'9". Sometimes I do, but my girlfriend corrects me. It's definitely 5'8".
But people need to look beyond that. They need to look beyond the injury history and realize this guy was third in MVP voting not too long ago, maybe 4 years ago. The guy can flat out score anywhere in the court, no problem. He can shoot over anyone. That doesn't matter. He's got an IQ high enough that if he wants to get a bucket, he's going to get a bucket. What held him back previously was his injuries. He couldn't trust his body, or his body wouldn't trust him. He couldn't do what he wanted to do. It doesn't seem like that's the problem anymore. It seems that his body is starting to react to what he wants to do a bit more. And obviously he's older in age. He's 32 years old, going to be 33 in February. But he can still play. I've been very...
It's not a bad age, is it, really? No. It's not a bad age. I think a lot of people think that this is a washed player. But, 32, 33, I mean, obviously, LeBron kind of defies, the barriers of age. But, that's someone that, still could maybe not be in the prime, but, definitely kind of, edging out of their prime years. Maybe an Isaiah Thomas that didn't get injured would still be performing at quite a high level, in the NBA at this age, even a few years on, maybe.
I think if he didn't get injured, he's still an all-star. He's an all-star caliber player. he can flat out score. Like he can flat out score. He can assist at a fairly decent level. Like he hasn't shown that so far at the Lakers because it hasn't necessarily been asked of him. He doesn't have to. Like when you have Russ there, if you have LeBron there, you're not going to really be asked to kind of be the kind of run the point. You're not going to be asked to kind of be the playmaker. You have two playmakers who are elite, who are like the elite of the elite. Like over the last 20 years, they probably rank alongside CP3 and Rajon Rondo, who's also on the team as like the three of the best assist men in recent NBA history. So yeah, he's been asked to just shoot, and he's done pretty good. Like I'm happy with him there. What like the question you asked about whether he's going to be on the Lakers, that is a big question. Like for right now, we have
It's probably a little bit too early in all fairness, but it is like we said with the tweet last night. It caught a little bit, well, not a little bit, quite a lot of attention. There was a variety of views being put. People even putting Westbrook on the bench.
That's nuts. But now, I think there's potential for him to be a Laker for the rest of the season. I don't see it being a likelihood, though. For example, if they decide to not take on Avery Bradley's contract, which is very, very possible, they can just non-guarantee it and waive him, and that's fine. You still have Rajon Rondo. You still have Russell Westbrook. You still have Kendrick Nunn, unless Kendrick Nunn kind of just sits out the season, which I don't see happening. You maybe, I don't know, but it seems unlikely. What I could see them doing potentially, which I still think is quite unlikely. Well, actually, they can't offer him a two-way contract, so that doesn't even matter now. But
No.
the only way I could see them keeping IT is, say, for example, they did like a 3-for-1 trade. Like, say, for example, they moved, like, just hypothetically, Westbrook, DeAndre Jordan, and Kent Bazemore for like Ben Simmons and Danny Green. Like financially, that would work. Like maybe logic-wise, people might say it's a bit iffy, but logic-wise, that could work, and that could potentially free up a space for them to have him on the roster. But again, it's just a difficult one. He's coming to a position that Lakers have of strength when all healthy, but right now they're obviously very unhealthy. So yeah, it's an odd one. But like, I'd love to see him find a long-term home. He deserves it. He deserves to be on an NBA roster. He deserves to be in the 15-man rotation. Like maybe he's not a starter anymore. It's up in the air. Like could be situations where he could start, but I'd like to see him at least, at the very, very least. I could see him easily winning a 6th man of the year. Like he's the type of guy who could score on par with likes of Jordan Clarkson, I believe, if he's just given the right shot in the right minutes. Maybe he's not going to get as many assists or as many rebounds or even play good defense, but I can easily see him being a 6th man of the year. He has the talent there. Yeah. So what do you think?
I think, I wasn't expecting it. I like Isaiah Thomas. I liked his first tenure with the team. I just like him as a player, to be honest with you. And but the Lakers needed defense. They needed size. They needed strength. They needed defense. And they go and sign Isaiah Thomas, like 5'9", point guard with no defense. So it was a surprise. But upon seeing him play, especially in the first game, 19 points, I believe he had. He's just an offensive punch. And this team is obviously going to struggle with defense. So if they're going to struggle with defense, you might as well ride with offense. You might as well go for it, try and blow teams out. Just go all in. And if we're going to go all in, then I think there is a place for Isaiah Thomas on this team. We'll get onto it a little bit more. There's been a few more additions, but I think like you said, Avery Bradley's been under par. I don't think his defense has really been that special, to be honest with you, which is what he prides himself on. Kent Bazemore, he's kind of started coming back into the rotation even before like all the COVID protocols. But is there a future for him? I definitely think that there's some maneuverability to get him in the roster if they want him there. I think a lot of people say drop Rondo, but I think Rondo is a good option to have. I think he's a good locker room presence, and I definitely think in playoff time, having a player with the IQ of Rondo just sat there, I think is extremely valuable. So I don't think they're going to do that, but I think there's things that can be done. Things that can be done to keep him if they really want to, and I can't say I'm impressed by his tenure so far, but I like his scoring. He's still got that scoring. He scored 42 points in the G League. Probably just a week ago. It actually wasn't that long ago. It's a lot's happened to him over the past week. So yeah, I think there can be a future. I like him. I like what he brings. Obviously, Malik Monk every now and then turns into Michael Jordan and just goes crazy. But then he'll score like 4 points like the other night, the next game. Carmelo Anthony's pretty consistent score off the bench. But I think having someone like Isaiah Thomas in amongst them, playing, doesn't have to play too much, like maybe 20 minutes a night. He's more than capable of giving you 10 points, and occasionally he'll light up for 20. So yeah, I think there's definitely a space for him if need be. But I think there's a wider, not conversation, but there's wider analysis to be had. How do we go through this the next few weeks? Is Ariza going to stay healthy? Is Kendrick Nunn going to come back? So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Have you got anything else to say on Isaiah Thomas?
I just wish him the best. If he's with the Lakers, I wish him the best. If he lands somewhere else, I wish him the best. He deserves to be in the NBA. It really is simple as that. There's players in other teams who, compared to him, should not be in the NBA. And I shouldn't say that. Each player who gets into the NBA, I'm sure they get there on merit, on hard work. So by that means, I'm raising everyone up rather than pushing them down. But IT deserves to be on a roster. Whatever roster it is, I hope it's the Lakers, because I think he still has maybe not a lot left in him, but I think he's enough to be beneficial towards the Lakers. And above all else, I think the Lakers have shown that a lot of players have had a redemption stories with the Lakers the last couple of years. Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, and hopefully IT can join them. Hopefully he can come along. I have Andre Ingram, coming from South Bay, and he comes with Lakers. Lakers are all about, they are about championships as well. They're all about giving players chances and raising them up and hoping that they giving them a shot. And maybe the shot might not work out, but at least they gave him a shot. And I think IT definitely deserves a shot. Yeah,
definitely. I think if he doesn't have a home in Los Angeles with the Lakers, he definitely has a home in the NBA with someone. So good luck to him. Fingers crossed it is with the Lakers, but we'll wait and see. But there's a very short segment coming up here because the Lakers recently signed Mason Jones and Jamario Jones. They're not actually related, but they are two products of South Bay, not on the same timeline. Mason Jones obviously has been with South Bay this season. Well, not obviously, because people might not be watching South Bay, but Mason Jones has played 12 games for South Bay this season. He's been primarily playing off the bench, but he is averaging 30 minutes a game. So he's been, a big part of that in what has been a very impressive season so far. Very, very well-rounded numbers very well-rounded averages of 17 points, 7 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 1 steal per game. He's been shooting 49.6% from the field. He did go a little bit streaky from three-point range early on, but he has improved that to a very impressive rate of 41% from three now. Albeit 12 games is a very small sample size, so it's very easy to balloon that number up on a hot streak. Jamario Jones had a spell with the Lakers back in 2019. He averaged 4.5 points, 8.2 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and 1.2 steals in 6 games with the Lakers back in 2019. He was given some hefty defensive duties during that spell. Not locked up, but he tried to lock up the likes of Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. They were two of the players that, if you remember, that was his duties. So he got thrown in the deep end. It was kind of the G League Lakers back then, as they were kind of not the tanking years, but the season was done. And then he's been playing in the G League. He's played with the Wisconsin Herd this season, averaging 6.5 points, 3.5 assists, 8.4 rebounds, 1.5 steals. So you can hear by them numbers that they're very well-rounded. They're two similar type of players. Obviously, Mason Jones a bit more of a scorer, but in terms of the productivity, they're a lot wider spread than, let's say, a Mac McClung, who we're going to get onto very shortly. So, I mean, there's no harm in not knowing much about these players. I think a lot of people have come to me to ask about who they are and how they're playing because of my interest in the G League. But Jonathan, what do you think of the two signings? Do you know much about them? What do you think about them given the current needs of the roster?
Mason Jones doesn't make as much sense as Demario Jones. Mason, like when he was with the Rockets, was it last year? Yeah, the Rockets last year, like they were calling him Baby Harden. Like he's built similarly. Obviously, Harden probably has about 20, 30 pounds in him. But they've kind of similar enough game where like they're good inside out. He's definitely, like you're right there. He's a streaky 3-point shooter. Like he's not exactly lights out from behind the arc, but when he can hit it. But he's exceptional at kind of drawing fouls. Like he's exceptional at drawing fouls and getting to the free throw line. Like that's been one of his main things. Decent enough athlete, not spectacular, but he's well rounded. The one thing I'm worried about him in terms of in this Lakers roster, he's very selfish. Might be the wrong word, but he's very ball dominant. He likes to have the ball in his hands, and he'll shoot. He'll try and make his way to the rim first. Then he'll kind of circle around and try it again. And like he kind of drains the shot clock a little bit. But yeah, he's a pretty decent player. Like he's definitely, I think he's better than G League standard. And I think he's another player that will end up on a roster. I don't think it's going to be a Lakers roster, but I think he'll end up on a roster.
Jamario did. It's actually, before you get onto Jamario Jones, it's actually his first spell in the G League. So, so he has spent, I think he was with the Philadelphia 76ers after the Rockets. So, I think he's definitely above G League level. And just to let the people watching and listening to let them know, when he was with the Rockets last season, he actually scored 24 points in the San Antonio Spurs. He shot 6 of 8 from 3-point range in that game, an NBA game, obviously. He scored 10 plus points on 5 occasions throughout last season. So, obviously they're not, they don't light up, but I like the sound of that 10 plus points on the 5 occasions. We could do with a bit of that every now and then. Obviously very high energy, defense as well. So, what were you saying about Jamario Jones?
Jamario Jones ranks, like there's obscure Lakers players in Lakers history and like recent NBA history. Obviously, AC is not that anymore, but he's one of like a fan favorite. There's Kendall Marshall, a guy like back then, maybe 10 plus years ago, I really enjoyed.
He was good for 5 games.
Yeah. And Jamario Jones is definitely in that mold. Like there's one thing you're going to get from Jamario Jones is effort all day. Like it doesn't matter. Like he knows what he's good at. He knows he's good at rebounding the ball, and he knows he's good at defense, and he'll work his ass off on both. Like he's not going to be a big scorer. He's not going to be a big sister, but like he'll work. And I think that's a perfect Frank Vogel guy. He needs a guy that just wants to work, who wants to work hard, who wants to get in your face, who wants to kind of be a tone setter on defense. Because ever since we lost AC, we've kind of lost the tone setter on defense. We haven't got that one guy. We thought it'd be AD, but it doesn't seem to be at this moment in time. We used to seem to be clicking. We need a guy who just kind of is on the floor and goes like, oh, crap. He's really playing hard defense. He's going to make me look bad if I don't play hard defense. I'd love to see Jamario Jones be that guy, come into the Lakers and really kind of light a fire underneath guys. But again, it's obviously a hardship exception at this moment in time. It's going to be like a 10-day deal. Can't expect too much from him, but I think there is potential for him to do really good with this Lakers team. I think the Lakers fans who haven't seen him before will appreciate his effort. That's the main thing. There's guys that's as Lakers fans, I think there's plenty of players in Lakers history who haven't necessarily been like superstars, but they've worked their asses off. Like Larry Nance Jr. worked his ass off. Lakers fans loved him. AC, Lakers fans loved him. Like even Alonzo Ball, he didn't fully realize his potential. We appreciate that he worked as hard as he could. And same with Kyle Kuzma. We appreciate that they work hard. Things might not work out, but at the end of the day, as long as you do what you can, as much as you can for the Lakers, we'll always appreciate it. And I think Jamario Jones, while he's definitely not the same level of talent as them guys, I think the Lakers fans will appreciate the level of effort he brings to the game.
Yeah, so Jamario Jones is someone that I've actually followed quite closely since his Lakers spell, as my interest in the G League has grown. And I actually spoke to him at the beginning of this year for another project that I had. I interviewed him just before he was going into the G League bubble with the Delaware Bluecoats he was with at the time. And I actually spoke to him about his Lakers call-up. And I really liked... He's a very honest person. So he said, I was nervous. I was sweating bullets, I was nervous. And I was like, okay, fair enough. It's not quite what you hear from... Normally players are like, oh, I was really excited. I was made for this, and things like that. But then he said, I got my first turnover out of the way, which I was going to get anyway. And it's the same, just a little bit faster. And I like that. He's kind of it was a very simple answer from a simple basketball player, but I don't mean that in a bad way. He knows what he's good at. He goes out there on the court and he does what he's good at. I describe players like him as being like a bit like a Swiss Army knife. He's a terrible shooter, but he'll get to the rim, if need be. If he doesn't do that, he can assist the ball. If he doesn't assist the ball, he'll rebound. If he doesn't do any of that, which Jamario Jones not rebounding is there's probably a better chance of a meteor hitting Earth right now. He's definitely going to grab you a rebound or two. He's going to defend. He's going to defend. And I don't care if you score 1 or 2 points. If you come in and defend, that's exactly what we need right now. And I think both players, because obviously we're speaking about both Joneses, will bring a lot of energy. And I think this Lakers team is a veteran team. For whatever reason, they haven't been locked in this season. That's a discussion for another time. These young guys can come in and, like you said, they can light a fire. They can set that precedent. High energy, strong defense. Let the offense flow from there. Isaiah Thomas can take care of the offense. Carmelo Anthony can take care of the offense. So I like the additions. I like the additions without the hardship exception, to be honest with you. I think someone like players like that would have been very useful anyway. Obviously, we don't know. Mason Jones is coming on a 2-way deal. It looks like Sean Brown might be the player who's lost that 2-way deal, which is surprising. I thought it would have been Jay Huff, but there's nothing been confirmed. But he's done a few cryptic tweets a short time ago, so it could possibly be him. But I like the move. I like Mason Jones on 2-way deal moving forward. 2-way players are not limited on days that they're called up for anymore, so they can just stay with the team and play for however long. I really like that move on a 2-way deal. And I really like Jamario Jones on the 10-day. I don't think he'll stay with the team beyond, but I think, for the next 10 days, maybe 20 if you can extend it. I'm not sure how it works in the COVID times, but I think he'll definitely fit a bill. He'll come in, he'll slot in, do his job, and then whatever happens from there happens. But obviously, the star of South Bay has been Mac McClung, and he has signed with the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Lakers at this point, with the amount of players that they've signed from the Lakers. But yeah, he's gone there, which has caused quite a stir tonight. Let's transition over to him. What do you think about him? What do you think about that move? Have the Lakers dropped the ball there? Where are you at with that? Because there's a lot of disappointed fans tonight.
I understand the disappointment, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a loss. I like Mac McClung a lot, but when you watch him there, he does some flashy stuff that is really, really impressive. But I just don't see a very impactful. I hope I'm wrong. I generally hope I'm wrong. I don't see a very impactful NBA player in him. I think
I agree with you, by the way. I'm very much on that same level as you. So fire away. I'm gonna probably follow. I'm probably gonna follow your views so that you're not gonna offend anyone. Well, I mean, we might do, but we'll do it together.
Like there's a starting 5 of like YouTube and Ball is Life guys like Mac McClung, LiAngelo Ball, and like Nico Mannion. There's these guys that, no offense to them, they became famous off of YouTube and all that stuff. But again, they've worked hard, they've gone through college or they've gone through the kind of professional ranks, and they've grinded and got to where they are today. So I'm not crapping on them, but I just don't see elite traits from any of them three guys, and especially at this moment in time we're talking about Mac McClung. I don't see elite traits that are going to carry over. I don't think he's elite shooter. I don't think he's elite defender. I don't think he's elite rebounder. I don't think he's elite playmaker, shot blocker, or steals, like kind of steals. I don't see an elite trait. I don't see an elite leader. I just see a young player who knows what he's good at, which is great. Like, he's good at getting to the rim. He's good at kind of, he's got very tight handle, very like really good handle that allows him to kind of lull some defenders to sleep and gets into the rim. Decent enough shooter, going from the mid range and three. Yeah, he's got a well-rounded game, but I just don't think it's an NBA game. I think at the point guard position, he's 6'2", which is kind of undersized for the point guard position. Obviously, compared
he's
to,
quite slim as well.
Yeah, compared to Isaiah Thomas, like he's huge. But at least Isaiah Thomas he's an elite shooter, and if he wants to be, he can be a borderline. Well, back when he was in his heyday, he was a borderline elite assist man as well. He's a very good playmaker. I just don't see it. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he has like a really strong career, and I hope even if it's with the Lakers, I hope he has a strong career. I just don't see enough elite traits that are going to kind of make him a superstar in this league. Not even a superstar. He could very easily be. Yeah, I think his ceiling at this moment in time, and again, I hope this is the kind of snip it off, and kind of years later, I'm like made fun of for how stupid I was about Mac McClung. I hope he becomes exceptional, but I think his ceiling at this moment in time is probably 10th man in a rotation. Like, it's maybe a second or third point guard. I'd say third point guard in the rotation. I don't see much more else for him than that. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn on him because I watched a lot of tape on the guy, and while I see he's better than some of the G League players, I also see guys like Mason Jones who I think have a better chance of being a better professional than he's going to be. And I think if that's the case, you're going to go for that's the reason why they've chosen Mason Jones over Mac McClung to bring up, because it makes more. They probably see, right, this guy, we've had Mac McClung underneath the microscope for a while, and we've had Mason Jones underneath the microscope for a while, and we personally believe that this guy is potentially going to be more impactful for us. But I hope we're wrong. I hope he's a really good professional. I'd be like, what do you think with this?
I think, I agree. Mac McClung's had a fantastic season in the G League. You know, he's been definitely one of the best players down there. You know, he's averaged 19.6 points. More importantly, he's shot 40% from three. You know, he's been great. He's been a flashy player. He's created, he's scored. You know, he's been fun to watch. His size, I think, is an issue. I think he would come up to the NBA, and I don't think you're going to see him, you know, his verticals through the roof. I don't think you're going to see him slamming it down in the NBA, you know, jumping into the lane. Like, I just don't think it's going to happen. And most importantly, he's a ball-dominant guard. Number one, we don't need a ball-dominant guard right now, even more so with Isaiah Thomas. If Isaiah Thomas wasn't signed, then I would say, yes, let's do Mac McClung. But I think it's one or the other. We don't need that. And quite frankly, a lot of teams don't need that. A lot of teams don't need a lead ball handler, you know, in the team. Even right now, like, they've got their players set. You know, there's a lot of players in rotation, sometimes 3-4 deep that are there to do that. So I highly doubt they're going to pick a player out of the G League to do so. And, you know, I think it's a tough pill for the Lakers to take. But the thing is NBA teams, and I'm not just saying this is factual, because, you know, I've spoken to, you know, people in the G League. You know, we spoke to Nick Lagias, who was a friend of the show, and he was with the South Bay Lakers. And teams in the NBA, when they're looking at the G League, they don't look at the scorers, because there's people that will score 20 points per night in the NBA already. There's people getting paid $20-30 million a season to do that. They look at players that do the little things. They look at the Alex Carusos of the world that will come up to the league, and they'll be a star in their role. You know, they'll be a very solid role player. You know, they'll come in. We want a defender. We're going to get a defender. We want a rebounder. You know, we're going to get a rebounder. You know, they're long gone are the days of who scored the most points. They'll make the NBA. You know, they're looking for the players that are versatile. You know, that will come in and, you know, let's take a chance on this guy, because if he doesn't do this, we're pretty sure he'll do this. You know, if he doesn't do that, we're pretty sure he'll do that. Or most importantly, he'll play defense, and that's pretty much what it is. So, you know, I stand by the move of the Joneses. You know, I think they're definitely the right move over Mac McClung. It's frustrating that he's gone to Chicago, you know, but that's the nature of the beast in the G League. You know, you kind of, you know, you've got your little project that you build up, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and snatches him away. You know, it's kind of the pain of Alex Caruso, but on obviously a much less scale. It's kind of flashes of that. So, you know, I hope he proves us wrong. I have doubts about his NBA. I'm not going to say NBA potential, because that's unfair. You know, he's still a very, very, very young player. We're talking about, well, I mean, not very, very, very young, but he's young. He's 22. So I think it's difficult to judge a player at 22 years old. Everyone has different journeys to where they want to be. But we're talking about impact right now. You know, the Joneses were signed right now because we needed the impact right now. So, you know, it's the same with the Bulls signing. They've signed him because they've got an exception. They're short on numbers. They need players to make an impact right now. And I don't think he makes an impact right now. I hope I'm wrong. And I'm talking about the Lakers. I'm not talking about the Bulls. So if he makes an impact at the Bulls, fair play. But we're not talking about that. On the Lakers, you know, there's you know, Russell Westbrook has managed to stick around. You know, you've got Rajon Rondo, who obviously has been playing much more recently. You've got Isaiah Thomas. You know, you've got Taylor Horton Tucker, who's coming out of, you know, COVID protocols that can ball handle. Obviously, you've got LeBron James, who's going to ball handle. Like, you've got all of them ball handling players who are going to look to score. I just don't think you need another one, to be honest with you. And I think that's why you didn't get called up.
No, I agree with you. Scoring from the G League is not necessarily the best. I think you nailed it on the head. It's not necessarily the best indicator of someone that's going to translate to the NBA. I think, especially rebounding seems to really there's a bunch of guys that I think, remember even the first ones was like Hassan Whiteside was like, he was rebounding like crazy and blocking like crazy in the G League. And then he finally got his call up to the Sacramento Kings, I think. Yeah, and then just the rest is history. Like, he made over 100 million in his career from being a G League player. And then Alex Caruso, again, just worked his ass off on defense. Like, defense, blocking, steals, rebounds, to a lesser extent assists, they translate over. And I think Mac, he has the potential to get better in each of them areas. I'm not going to say he's limited as a player. I think he seems to be a hardworking individual. He seems to be a hardworking young guy. And I hope he works in these different areas and kind of realizes that it's not just a shoot first, shoot second, shoot third league. It's, okay, what's the best shot? If the best shot is in your hands and means like it's the best chance to get in the basket, take it. If the best shot is passing to a teammate and getting the assist, do that. But you need to want to do that. You can't just be, okay, I'm just going to dribble, find kind of even a smidgen of like an open shot and take it. No, just move the ball around, find the best shot within the flow of the offense and do that. I think the likes of Mason Jones, who I still think is quite ball dominant, but I think he's more willing, and especially Jamario Jones, them guys are going to work on both ends of the floor. They're going to be willing to make the open pass. They're going to be willing to grab a rebound. They're going to be willing to take.
They're going to work off the ball as well.
Yeah,
because that's what we need, you know.
And to be fair, compared to Mac, they've actually done it at the NBA level. They've shown on the NBA level that they can contribute. And I think that was probably the difference. I think they probably wanted to give Mac a chance, but realized, like, listen, we got IT and now we don't need another guard, like point guard at this moment in time. We need a kind of a shooting guard, and maybe I actually think they're going to play Jamario Jones as a power forward.
I mean, it depends who your opponent is, I suppose. But, yeah, because they're both. By the way, one thing about Mason Jones and Jamario Jones, if obviously people listening who don't know much about them, is they're very undersized. You know, I think Jamario Jones more than Mason Jones. I mean, 6'4" in the backcourt. I think you can get away with that. It is a bit undersized, but it's not ridiculous. But Jamario Jones is a forward that is about the same size. I think he's about 6'5". So he is undersized, but his effort and the dog inside of him just makes up for that. I think maybe in some depends who the matchup is, to be honest with you. But potentially. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, by the time a lot of people listen to this, they're going to see tomorrow's result. And how they played, but obviously there's 10 days of them. So, have you got any more to say? Because I think we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, just best of luck, Mac. Like I hope he does well. Like I genuinely do. I think more than likely he's going to revert back to the Lakers. I think he has his 10-day with Wolves and comes back. I think it will be just as simple as that, and he'll be back on the Lakers. I don't think the Lakers are that worried. Like obviously the depth that the Bulls have at the point guard position at this moment in time. Obviously, because of COVID, it's not great, but they have Lonzo, they have AC, they have
McKinney as well.
Yeah, they have Ryan Arciando. What's his name? I might be wrong. That's just another guy came to mind. Just drawing a blank. But yeah, they have a bunch of guys who can play the point guard position. I just don't think. I think Mac might get some time, and I hope he gets a few minutes, gets to prove himself. But I don't see him making that much of an impact there. I'd say he reverts back.
Cool. Well, right, we'll leave it there. Obviously, we'll try and do another one of these very soon. We'll try and be a lot more consistent with these. Obviously, we'll wait and see over the holiday period. That's obviously easier said than done. But definitely in 2022, let's bring this back. And, thanks to everyone for checking out, the show as I speak to you in the future. Thanks to the guys who have listened live as well. I've seen a few of you coming in and out. So, thank you for checking out the show. Thank you for being patient with us as well. I've actually had a few people asking, what's happening with the podcast. So it's cool that people care, really. So, Jonathan, do you want to? We'll do what we normally do. Do you want to let people know where they can find you? And have you got anything to say as we come out of this long-awaited episode of the Late Late Show?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JonathanKNBA. And you mentioned him earlier on in the podcast, but to Nick Lagos, he's the new general manager of the Mexican City Capitals, the new G League team. So congratulations to him. Like that's amazing for him. And another guy that you mentioned team as well, Matt Murphy of the Philadelphia, the Bluecoats, the Delaware Bluecoats. Again, another great guy.
Now, promoted.
Yeah, another great, two great guys who've been very, very kind to us in terms of giving us access to their guys and interviews and stuff like that. They've been really great, and they deserve all kind of the plaudits and kind of the good things that are coming their way. So yeah, congratulations to them and to everyone. Happy Christmas, stay safe, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Passover. It's Passover. What's it? Whatever holiday, wherever you celebrate. Have it and stay safe. Same to you, Matt.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. It's been great to chat again. Like I said, I hope we do more of these very soon. To everyone listening, you can find me at Matt Evans CU over at Twitter. And also, most importantly, you can follow Lakers UK at LA Lakers UK. Come and talk to us. We'll do another one of these. If you are watching live in the future, ask us questions as things come in. If you've got a question for the next episode, drop me a tweet. The DMs are open. Let us know. What do you want to know? What do you want us to talk about? Let us know. But anyway, it's been great to do this. Been very excited to do this for a long time. I know Jonathan has as well been messaging quite frequently. And, when's the pod going to happen? And we're finally here. It finally happened. And we're at the end of it, at the end of the first episode. So I'm very proud and happy that we got one of these done. So yeah, happy holidays, everyone. Stay safe, most importantly, in this crazy time that we are still living in. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks for checking out the Late Late Show. Will you get another one before the end of the year? I'm confident. Don't want to promise it. I'm confident we could do. If Jonathan isn't available, we'll just have to draft someone else in. But no, Jonathan's a primary.
I'll be here.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, everyone. Be sure to check out previous episodes. We've done some cool interviews. Devontae Caycott we've had on there in the past, and just check us out on all podcast platforms as well if you're listening back. So let's get out of here. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you very, very soon.